Hello and welcome to another video. This is the 14th episode of the story in which Jiraiya and Tsunade are supposed to watch over Naruto, but instead Orochimaru takes care of him. How will this affect others as well as both of them? What will it mean for Konoha? This story was written by Brown Phantom. Kindly support him, her. Like and subscribe to help to support videos. Let's start this show. When Subsonic first took off their mask, Sasuke didn't expect them to turn out to be someone he actually knew. If anything, he just thought that this enemy was being stupid in giving away their identity like that. The smart choice would have been to keep their face and name hidden to keep up their anonymity. But once the hood was off, Sasuke started thinking differently. There had to be a reason this masked ninja was so willing to show their face. They had to gain something by doing this, enough to make up for the fact that from now on they couldn't spy easily anymore since Sasuke would be able to identify them. With that in mind, Sasuke now got apprehensive. Subsonic's hood and mask were off, revealing a woman's face with short black hair and a set of brown eyes behind blue glasses. After that, Subsonic removed a vest which allowed her compressed breasts to relax and become more noticeable. The vest was mostly there to hold some supplies and trick people into thinking she was a man. Sasuke's eyes widened as he recognized this person. Mako Ichiba? You're a spy for another village? Yep, I'm a spy. No one would suspect someone as insignificant as a mere eye doctor of being a spy. Luckily that job ensures every ninja in Konoha comes to me in time, especially those with Dojutsu, so I barely even have to look for information. Of course I still do look. Sasuke frowned. So you're the one who told those music note ninja I had a Dojutsu. You set me up to lose my Sharingan. Mako looked nonchalantly. You're only half right. Yes, I did tell the ninja of Oto you have a Sharingan, but you did that too by flaunting your Uchiha name left and right. Ninja don't go bragging about themselves, you idiot. You just make yourself a target that way. And yes, I did ask them to take away your Sharingan, but I had no idea you and they were going to be in wave at the same time. I figured you wouldn't lose it until later on in the future. That was just really good timing. It doesn't matter. My Sharingan's gone and it's your fault. Sasuke said, grabbing a meat cleaver from a drawer. You may find this hard to believe, Sasuke, but I didn't ask that to hurt you. I asked that to happen so it would help you. Help me? How is making me lose my Sharingan helping me? Sasuke shouted, looking like he was 1 minute away from chopping her up like a butcher. Mako smiled. Simple. Now you know what everyone really thinks of you, and now you know not to take your own skills and status for granted anymore. Had you kept your Sharingan, you would have continued to be the council's pampered bitch with delusions that they are on your short leash, rather than you on theirs. Sasuke was still mad, but he settled down. As much as I hate to admit it, she does have a point. Even so, I will never forgive you for doing that. I don't expect you to, Sasuke. In fact, I don't think I even deserve it. Sasuke arched an eyebrow but smugly smiled. At least you acknowledge your crime against me. Mako now looked remorseful and a bit mad. Sasuke, you have no idea what I'm talking about. I did something far worse than give some shinobi the idea to damage your eyes. Something that to this day makes me feel ambivalent. There are days I still regret doing what I did, but other times I feel like I only would have made things worse had I done anything else. The same applies to how I feel about you personally, Sasuke. I don't understand. Just why would you care about me at all if you're my enemy? Sasuke asked. Because I don't want to be your enemy, Sasuke, but at the same time, I can't stand what you've become. What's wrong with you? You're an enemy, plain and simple. That's all we need to know. Mako shook her head. Life isn't as absolute as you think it is, Sasuke. But I guess there's only one way to prove it to you. She then took off her glasses and pulled out a set of brown contact lens in her eyes, showing her pupils were actually black in color. Then she removed her headband used to keep her hair up. Without it, her dark brown hair fell down to her waist. All of a sudden, Sasuke recognized a face he had not seen in a long time except in his memories and photographs. No, it can't be. This is impossible. It's true, Sasuke. Mako Ichiba is just a fake name and identity for me. My true name is Mikoto Uchiha, your mother. You can't be. Itachi killed her just like all the others. Sasuke came close to shouting. He performed a genjutsu. Release, only to see nothing changed. The now revealed Mikoto sadly shook her head. I almost did die, but Itachi couldn't wound me as well as the others. I'm an expert at dodging, Sasuke, nicknamed the Kami no Kawarimi for a reason. What you saw was me faking death to avoid taking any further damage. Itachi had too much to cover to ensure I was truly dead. You can't be my mother, Sasuke said, looking and sounding like he was about to break out in hysterical tears. You would have come for me if you were. I wanted to, at first. But I couldn't. It's a long story as to why. Flashback. Dazed and confused, Mikoto started to regain consciousness. Looks like my false death jutsu is wearing off, and it looks like it was enough to trick Itachi. For all basic purposes, I had no pulse, no breath, no warmth for 2 minutes, a perfect simulation of death. Too bad Sensei was right when she said the after effects always make you feel like shit. Right now she had a headache, cramping muscles, nauseous taste in her mouth, her eyes couldn't focus, and her legs wouldn't respond to her commands. She sort of felt like she had a hangover and slept in a bad position during the night. Hey, over here. We have a live one. Some man's voice called out from above Mikoto. For some reason, I don't like the sound of that, Mikoto thought. She looked up and saw an Umbu agent standing over her, but this Umbu didn't feel normal to her. He was looking at her like she was a prize of some kind. Soon others showed up, and among them was a man with bandages on his face. My, this sure is surprising. I didn't think we'd find a live one tonight, the bandaged man said. What should we do, Danzo-sama? One of the Umbu asked, as if unprepared for encountering any survivors here. Are the others, are they all dead? Fugaku? Sasuke? Oh please Kami, no. Mikoto frantically thought. Take her away to the cells. Her eyes should theoretically be the best ones to use here, and if she can still bear children, we can ensure the Uchiha line will stay alive and I'll have prime access to the children. Danzo told the Umbu. Like hell I'm staying here. Mikoto thought, then performed a substitution with a training log to get away. Fortunately for Mikoto, she didn't need a training log near the Uchiha estate to perform the jutsu. She was good enough to get clear across town using one substitution jutsu, and that was exactly where she had gone. Once free, Mikoto sat up and leaned against a tree. Her hands were covering a frontal stab wound she got during the massacre, from Itachi, and not the only wound she had right then. My son? Why did you do this? Why? Did your father push you too hard and you snapped? Were you being controlled by someone? Why? Did you really kill everyone? Is my entire family dead because of my son? She sat down and wept. Who were those people there? They talked like they had something planned for the bodies and they didn't expect anyone to still be alive. But my false death jutsu can only last a few minutes, so they showed up just moments after Itachi saw me, so how could they have known about this so quickly? Why were they more interested in taking the bodies than stopping Itachi from making more? She gasped. They were in on it. This wasn't a random slaughter. Someone planned this, to take something from the Uchiha. Hey, you okay? A man's voice called out to her, causing Mikoto to look forward rather than down. In front of her was Jiraiya, looking quite worried. You're bleeding. What happened? I'm not exactly sure myself. Aren't you Jiraiya of the Sannin? Yes, I am. That doesn't look good. Without medical attention you could bleed to death in an hour at most, I'd say. But I'm not a medic. I can take you to one though. You can't take me to the Konoha hospital. If you do, there's no way I'm going to see the light of day again. Someone wants to harvest my body, it sounds like. Jiraiya, as surprised, but nodded. I know a place where you can be treated. The problem is, I can't guarantee you can come back here anytime soon. My family's dead. What do I have to come back to? Mikoto sobbed. Alright then. Jiraiya then summoned a transportation toad. We need to get to Tsunade right away. The toad got larger and swallowed Jiraiya and Mikoto, then poofed away and reappeared in Oto. The next day, Mikoto was in Oto's hospital. Tsunade had treated her open wounds and kept her from excessive bleeding and internal bleeding as well, and did some repair on the damaged organs. It looked like Itachi had used a sword to cut through her right kidney and nick her liver, not immediately threatening wounds but definitely not something that Mikoto could have shrugged off, and he appeared to have done some sort of damage to her spine in a second wound that Tsunade was having difficulty with. Mikoto woke up in the morning but saw little reason to be awake and alive. Everyone she knew was dead, so why go on? Her answer came to her really soon. Orochimaru came into the room as she ate breakfast. Mikoto-san? It is you. Orochimaru-sama? Mikoto asked. So this is where you've been all these years. I probably should have guessed since Jiraiya-sama brought me here and Tsunade-sama treated me. The snake Sannin nodded. Yes. This is my new home, Otogakure. The world's only true hidden village for the time being. I guess now's as good a time as any to give you my report on what's going on in Konoha, heh? Mikoto asked with a light smile, as if she was joking. That can wait until you're better. You've done so much for me and Naruto, the least I can do is let you recover first. Orochimaru told her. Out of all the people in Konoha who had been against Naruto in his brief time there, Mikoto was never one of them. She knew Kushina was due to give birth, was with Minato, and had chosen the name Naruto for her son. So when a baby with blonde hair named Naruto Uzumaki appeared the day of the Kyuubi attack, Mikoto would have to be too stupid to dress herself to not realize who he was. She would have gladly taken in Naruto if not for two reasons. One being that Fugaku absolutely refused to even think of the idea for reasons he never explained other than no non-Uchiha should have their privileges. And the other being that Mikoto had been out of town for a while trying to find Kushina's body and something she left behind for Naruto the days following his birth, and Orochimaru beat her to having custody. She didn't find Kushina, but she found the something and kept a hold of it in secret so she could give it to Naruto when he was old enough to use it properly. So even though she was unable to raise the boy, she did help Orochimaru in caring for Naruto and even Anko when she was needed. Until he had to leave Konoha, to which she couldn't join as she still needed to care for Sasuke. So she volunteered to stay behind and warn Orochimaru of any possible threats coming from Konoha by sending him messenger birds or informing Jiraiya. This was their first direct meeting in 4 years. Thank you, Orochimaru-sama, but as long as you're here and it's fresh in my memory, I might as well tell you what I know. Mikoto claimed. Orochimaru sat down on a chair beside the bed. If you insist. The last thing I remember was having a peaceful night at home when all of a sudden my oldest son Itachi came home and tried to fight my husband. He didn't move like this was some random surprise fight or even a drill, he acted like he honestly wanted his father dead. Fugaku fought back and I think the two exchanged words, but I can't remember anything they might have said. I tried to interfere but Itachi moved like I was going to receive no more mercy than Fugaku was going to. This is suspicious. Orochimaru commented. Mikoto nodded then continued. He almost pierced my neck but I substituted with a log to get away and ran to find some help. To my horror, the streets were littered with bloody dead bodies. All of them, cut or pierced by a sword. She paused briefly, tearing up at the memory. I lost track of time, but Itachi caught up to me again. I tried to run, to keep Sasuke from getting hurt or even seeing any of this. Itachi used weapons and jutsus on me, and I kept substituting to get out of harm's way, but he did manage to get me once. Before he could do more, I used the false death jutsu to trick him into thinking I was dead, and I think it fooled him enough to have him pass me over. How tragic for you, Mikoto-san. The snake Sannin sympathetically said. And if that wasn't bad enough, when I recovered there were men in uniform collecting the dead bodies. I know for a fact I couldn't have been out for a long time, so I have big suspicions about them. It was like they knew Itachi was going to do this, and instead of stopping him, they wanted to harvest the Uchiha bodies for something. I know this because when they saw I was still alive, one of them talked like they wanted to cover it up, like there weren't supposed to be any survivors. But as long as I was alive they'd keep me hidden and turn me into a breeder like Kumo is rumored to do. Orochimaru looked uncomfortable. After learning what I have from Konoha, I find this very easy to believe, Mikoto-san. Is it possible that the Sandaime ordered your son to kill off your entire clan? Years ago when he learned about all of Sarutobi's shady dealings in Konoha, the idea that he could do this was not far-fetched to Orochimaru. I don't know how he could have made Itachi do such a thing, but I know my son, and I know he would never do such a horrific thing voluntarily. Mikoto answered. Itachi was like me, one of those rare types of people who became a ninja not for the glory or power or the privileges. He wanted to protect what he valued, thinking if getting his hands dirty was the price then so be it. There's no way he'd decide to commit murder on a mere whim. So obviously something pushed him in that direction. The question is what and why? The snake Sannin replied. Mikoto nodded. Yes, but for the life of me I have no idea what that is. Don't worry about it for now. Rest and heal yourself, Mikoto-san, and I'll have Jiraiya see what he can find out without looking suspicious. Orochimaru told the Uchiha matriarch. Mikoto nodded, her eyelids getting heavy and she fell asleep a moment later. End flashback. Sasuke didn't know what to say. So that's how you ended up in another village? Mikoto nodded. How long until you came back? I needed some time to recover. Not a lot, since the greatest medic in the world was there to treat me, but I had no motive to leave. Until I learned of you, that is. But unfortunately, coming back here was not easy. Mikoto answered. Flashback. Mikoto had been in Oto for a month now, staying in the Otokage Tower and keeping an eye on the children who lived there. Taking care of Naruto and the others helped fill the void created by the death of her family. It also gave her something to think about besides the lack of mobility in her legs. Apparently the wound to her spine had resulted in paralysis in her legs, and Tsunade's medic jutsu couldn't repair nerve damage right away. That required repeated treatments. Mikoto wouldn't be able to walk for quite a while. Right now the Uchiha woman was in a wheelchair watching Naruto try some taijutsu moves with Hinata and Isaribi while Anko and Kurenai showed them what to do. She smiled to see Kushina's son so happy and well, unlike how he was in Konoha. Kushina-chan, you'd be happy to see your son having a good life here, and probably destroy Konoha for not accepting him. Why couldn't they? Was it really so hard to have faith in Minato's work? Why is it everyone praises him for destroying an entire army yet they can't have faith that his seals work? Don't they realize his Hiration, the jutsu he beat the army with, requires seals he designed to be done? If Naruto's seal was faulty then the Hiration wouldn't even exist. Their hate and mistrust doesn't make sense. It's as if they can't trust the seal. But why? Jiraiya walked up to Mikoto and caught her attention. Hey Mikoto, I've got news you'll want to hear. But you better come with me to Tsunadeheim and Orochimaru to hear it. It's pretty important. Okay, take me there. Mikoto told the Toad Sannin. Jiraiya pushed Mikoto's wheelchair to the Odo Council meeting room, where only the other two Sannin were seated, no one else. Ah, Mikoto-san, glad you could make it. This applies to you more than anyone else. Orochimaru stated. Mikoto looked curious, but stayed silent. Whatever they were going to tell her didn't need to be asked for apparently. Tsunade spoke first. Mikoto Uchiha, judging from what Jiraiya had gathered, we have good news and bad news for you. The good news is one of your family members survived what is now known in Konoha as the Uchiha massacre. Mikoto perked up, shocked. What? Who? Your son, Sasuke. Jiraiya told her, taking a seat. Sasuke? My baby's alive? Mikoto was crying tears of relief. Oh, thank Kami. Wait, what's the bad news? After hearing what you told me about what someone in Konoha had planned for your fate, I immediately worried your son would suffer the same way. However, apparently he hasn't. I'm not sure why, but your son does not to be in danger from anyone in Konoha. Jiraiya explained. Mikoto looked confused. How? Is that bad news? I'm getting to that. Jiraiya reassured. When I heard that Sasuke was not being kept hidden away by someone, but allowed to be out in the public with the populace allowed to know about him being alive, I was immediately suspicious. No one's made a move to take him out of the public's eyes, but I have a strong feeling someone in Konoha has plans for him. Tsunade nodded. It's like what Sensei did with Naruto. He covered up everything important so no one would have any interest in him. The problem is this time he's not doing that. The Sandaime is making no efforts to keep your son out of the public's eyes. The way we see it, any enemies the Uchiha have would love to know that right now as far as they know there's only one left and he's defenseless. Naturally, Konoha should hide Sasuke to avoid putting him in danger, but they're not. They want everyone to know they have only one Uchiha left. Jiraiya frowned. Sensei hid Naruto's heritage and status from him and Konoha, claiming he was keeping Naruto safe from any vengeful enemies. The fact is Minato and Kushina were not the only ones in Konoha who acquired enemies, even though Sensei lied about IWA to exaggerate the danger. When you consider this, you would think Sensei would cover up Sasuke too, saying it's for his own good and Konoha's safety. But, they're not. Mikoto nodded. So someone obviously wants to take advantage of my son in a way that will only work if he's not in hiding, even if it means putting him in danger. The Sannin nodded too. That's our thoughts exactly. The question is to what purpose? Orochimaru spoke up. I'll try to find out, but with my methods I can only find out so much. Jiraiya stated. Let me help. Mikoto said, making the Sannin curious. As soon as I can move on my own again, let me get a direct look. Jiraiya-sama can't be there all the time, and can't go looking for information on Konoha without looking suspicious, but I can. Orochimaru shook his head. Mikoto-san, you can't. If you show Konoha you survived, whoever tried to assault you that night will make an effort to do so again, or at least discredit you enough to keep you away from your son or the public. They'll ask where have you been all this time and how did you survive? If the T&I department get a hold of you, then this village will be revealed before we're ready for that. And from there, it would be easy to keep you locked up forever while they continue to do who knows what with your son. Mikoto hung her head. There must be something I can do. Orochimaru thought it over. I think I know a way you can be a set of eyes and ears for us and stay out of trouble, Mikoto-san. Everyone else looked at the snake Sannin, who grinned like he had a great idea. If people knew who you were, then only problems will await you. However, if no one knows who you are, then things will be safer for you. Tsunade blinked as she thought it over. You mean, create an identity for her and plant her in Konoha? Orochimaru nodded. That could work, but I see two flaws. How do you get her there without raising suspicions, and how would she be able to send us information? Orochimaru turned to Jiraiya. Jiraiya, if you were go up to Sensei with a homeless civilian who can work that you're familiar with on your travels, would he turn her away? The Toad Sannin thought it over. I don't think so, but it will take some convincing. He then turned to Mikoto. Would you be able to handle that? Living under an alias and unable to do ninja work, but also unable to tell your son who you are? Even trying to gain legal guardianship over him will be out of the question, at least for a year or so. Any sooner will look like you have an agenda and you don't want that. Mikoto didn't know what to say. I won't be able to tell my baby his mother's right there with him. He has to think I'm dead. Why? Even if it's for my own good, can I do it? See him but not tell him? Act like a stranger around him? After a moment she cleared her throat. Is there really no other way? Tsunade shook her head. I don't think so, Mikoto. I know it hurts, but think about it. At least this way you can see him and interact with him even if not his family, but if you don't you'll never get to be with him again. Going back as yourself will go make things worse. But going back as someone else, and you may have a chance to get close to him and later adopt him. If things work out that I can't guarantee that will happen. Mikoto sighed. Even so, it's my only chance, isn't it? The Sannin nodded. Very well. I will go back to Konoha under a fake name and keep an eye on my son that way, as well as find out things for you about Konoha that Jiraiya-sama may not have access to. As for how I can send it to you, I know a way. If I place a long line of logs and rock in a straight line between the villages, I can use the substitution technique to get from point A to point B and back all within a night if I have to. You can do that? Tsunade asked. Mikoto nodded. I'm the Kami no Kawarimi. I can substitute with many things very quickly and I have a larger range of usage than anyone else. I can cover miles in a flash thanks to one substitution, so I can cover the trip between the villages in an hour or so if I have to. The only reason I didn't get to the other side of the village away from Itachi right away that night was I didn't want him to follow me and get more people involved. But I could have if I wanted to. Orochimaru was impressed. That would help out quite a bit. A fast-moving ninja who can hide under the radar so to speak. Our unseen Odo agent. Mikoto Uchiha, do you accept your responsibility? Before Mikoto could answer, Tsunade spoke up. Hold on Orochimaru, she needs to recover first, and it could take up to a year to get her nerves reconnected and for her to handle the physical therapy to be as mobile as before. Mikoto slammed her open palm on the table, effectively catching everyone's attention. 6 months. I'll be ready in 6 months. I've got a son to get back to, I can't wait a year for that. Orochimaru smiled. True to her word, Mikoto finished her treatments and recovery in 6 months. 6 months and 8 days to be exact. Everyone was amazed. Tsunade had finished her medical work about 3 months after Mikoto arrived in Odo, meaning 4 months of treatments total. After that, Mikoto regained the ability to use her legs, but had to learn to stand on her own again and get coordinated again when moving. Not only that, she needed to be used to performing jutsu again. But her desire to be near her son again motivated Mikoto like nothing else could have. So now, Mikoto stood on her own in front of Orochimaru, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and the entire Shinobi Council of Odo. Orochimaru stood as the most prominent person there. Mikoto Uchiha, you have surpassed our expectations and regained your ability to serve our village as desired faster than expected. That shows us you will be a great asset to our village. Will you serve us? Mikoto nodded. I will. Konoha has proven to be a threat to me and my family, and while I cannot act yet I will find out the depths of this threat and ensure it will not spread to Odo Geikure. I owe my life to the Sannin, and I will do as they ask to the best of my abilities, as a kunoichi of Oto. Orochimaru smiled. I'd give you an Oto Hitai 8, but where you're going that will only get you in trouble. Then he looked serious. Mikoto-san, your mission is to disguise yourself as a civilian and allow Jiraiya to take you to Konoha. Once there you will assume a civilian's lifestyle and work, but keep a watchful eye and ear out for anything that can be of use to us. You have my permission to investigate the matter with the Uchiha as you wish, as long as it does not interfere with your other duties and does not put you at risk. At least once every 2 weeks, report back to us at your convenience. Do you understand? I do, Otokage-sama. Orochimaru and the others looked pleased. Very well. Have you chosen an acceptable alias? Mikoto nodded. Yes. Mako Ichiba, based on an old nickname of mine that hasn't been used in years. With that and a simple non-genjutsu disguise, I will handle my role with ease. I also learned how to be an eye doctor from my mother, so with Jiraiya-sama's help, I should have no problem landing a job as an unassuming optometrist. Someone every ninja will eventually come to and chat with. Orochimaru and the others nodded. Excellent. From now on, you will no longer be known as Mikoto Uchiha, until further notice. In Konoha, you will be Mako Ichiba. In Oto, your identity will be hidden to keep any spies in here from finding you. Here, you will be our secret weapon. Fast, unseen, unheard, unnoticeable. Your title will reflect that. You are subsonic. End flashback, and even you should know the rest. Sasuke. Mikoto finished to her stunned son. I came back, got a job, got a home, and got to see you around town all the time. It would have been great, until I found out that during the 7 months I was gone you went from being a sweet boy to a rotten spoiled brat. No wonder Jiraiya-sama didn't tell me what you were like during my recovery. Had I known, would have given up. Sasuke was barely able to comprehend all this. Itachi had been unable to kill his mother. Someone knew about the massacre beforehand and sought to profit from it. The legendary Sannin had turned traitor to Konoha and were in charge of the music note ninja. His mother had been in Konoha for years but couldn't expose herself even to him to keep them both out of danger. This can't be true, Sasuke said. Can it? It is, Sasuke. Mikoto reassured him. Don't you remember how in my first year here I was always nice to you? Gave you treats? Offered to keep you company? Everyone did that. And they also tried pushing their daughters onto me too. Mikoto sadly nodded. I remember. I also remember how you treated me when I was being nice. Nothing I did was good enough for you and you never wanted to talk to me unless I was kissing your ass. It hurt, but I thought you were just upset from the tragedy. It was worse when I saw you on your 9th birthday. Remember that? Sasuke tried to think back. No, I don't. I'm not surprised. Mikoto said, sounding mournful. I got you some of your favorite candy as a kid, hoping it would make you think of your mother and feel less alone. But when you got it, you... Now she looked somewhat angry, shedding tears. You actually had the gall to tell me it was the most worthless gift you ever got. You actually told me the wrapping paper was worth more to you than the gift was. You said my gift wasn't going to help you kill your brother and it was an insult to your clan to give you an inexpensive useless gift. It was. Sasuke said before he could stop himself. Mikoto still looked mad. A heartfelt gift was an insult? Sasuke, I never thought I could love and hate you at the same time. Now Sasuke looked hurt. What? You're my son and I love you. I've never stopped. But at the same time, I hate what you've become. I know you can become a good person again, the kind of boy others can be proud of, but as long as you continue to believe that you're the only one who matters, you're just going to keep making me sick. Sasuke gasped in disbelief. What? Mikoto crossed. Even when you thought I was dead, did you think I would approve of your behavior? But I'm just trying to avenge everyone. That's important to us. Sasuke argued. Mikoto leaned closer, her glare started to make Sasuke panic a bit. No, it's important to you. I don't like what Itachi did either, but I've at least made my peace with it. You however refuse to, and until you try, if you ever do kill Itachi, you'll just feel hollow because then you'll have nothing else to look forward to in life unless you decide someone else needs to be killed. I mean, seriously Sasuke, have you ever thought about what you're going to do after you kill your brother? I'll rebuild my clan and bring it back to glory again, without any council members using me. The young man answered. Mikoto scoffed. And how are you going to do that? You've already alienated every girl in your age group, even your most devoted one. You think you just have to act nice after Itachi's gone and they'll forget you called them worthless brainless bitches who are only there to make things easier for you? Girls don't forget those kind of things so easily Sasuke, and they don't forgive on command no matter what your status may be. You've basically lost any chance to rebuild your clan since you've made it clear you don't care about anyone but yourself. Now Sasuke got a little mad. You're telling me to forget about what happened to my clan? You dare call me heartless, while this whole time you don't care about what happened to us nor tell me you were alive this whole time? What gives you the right to pass judgment on me? Mikoto crossed her arms, still looking stern and in charge here. Once again you're only seeing this in a way that affects just you. You're not even asking how am I affected, nope, just yourself. I told you I don't like what Itachi did, and I've been miserable not being able to tell you who I really am. But if you really want to know why I decided what I did, you've got to stop thinking about yourself for a moment. Sasuke frowned but he did look less offended. Nonetheless he tried to reassert himself by crossing his own arms. Fine. Explain yourself. Frowning, Mikoto jabbed Sasuke right on the forehead with her fingers exactly like Itachi used to. The gesture made Sasuke lose his composure. You've got a lot of nerve, son. Here I am trying to make you see reason, and you just talk to me like I'm your subordinate? Maybe I'm to blame for not raising you these past few years, I can admit that, but you're clearly not ready to face the truth. Even when it's right in front of you. She then turned away and stepped away from him, as if heading for the window. Where are you going? Mom? He asked, calling her Mom, quietly, as if he was afraid to. Mikoto stopped but didn't face him. Out. I still have a job to do here. Talking to you and trying to get you to open your eyes was just part of it. Apparently you need a little more time before you can accept the truth I told you. After this, I'm going back to Oto, to stay. I can't keep spying now that my identity has been compromised. Sasuke silently gasped. His mother was leaving him. Please don't. If you love me, you can't leave me. Mikoto glanced at Sasuke with only the right side of her face seen by him. Sasuke, I've never stopped loving you. That doesn't mean I like you as you are though. You need to let a few things sink in before I can like you again. Now she faced him directly again, but she still looked ready to leave at any second. I'm going to come back in about a month. If you can prove to me at that point that you can be a good boy again, then I'll do something for you. If you can't, then the next time you see me, we're enemies. Sasuke silently gasped again. What do I have to do? Make the right decision when the council makes a move on you in a week or two. Sasuke was confused. What do you mean? You'll find out when the time comes. Mikoto told him, as if she didn't want to be too specific. All I will tell you Sasuke is soon you will be in a situation where you will have to make a choice. When you choose, I will know. If you choose to be greedy and self-interested, then I will have nothing more to do with you. If you choose to be humble and unbribed, then I will offer you the chance to truly be happy. Sasuke looked hopeful. You'll help me kill Itachi? Mikoto shook her head. No matter what, I will not help one of my sons kill the other. My way of helping you is a secret. Can't you tell me? Sasuke asked. Mikoto shook her head again. Not until I know what you really want in life. And I'll find out before the month is over. For now, there's nothing more for me to say. I hope to see you again, son, but if you tell anyone about me or what I told you, you never will again. Before Sasuke could ask anything more or try to stop here, Mikoto disappeared, replaced with a piece of debris from somewhere outside, leaving Sasuke alone until his teammates came knocking at his door. Sarutobi was a smart man, despite whatever his students would say about him this day. He wasn't called the professor for nothing. He knew his students were not winging this battle nor this assault on Konoha. They had a plan, and they had contingencies for setbacks and obstacles to their success. Just like how he had strategies for if his beloved Konoha ever was invaded during his second reign. But seeing an old man in a wheelchair brought into the fight by the Yondaime Kazekage had a way of throwing him off. What the heck is going on? Am I missing something? Enma asked, voicing his summoner's confusion. I don't know, old friend, but my gut tells me asking them won't get us any answers. Sarutobi replied. Any last words, Satoru-san? Kazekage asked. Tell him not to regret what was done for him. The old man answered with the calmness of one who accepted the inevitable and embraced it rather than continued to fight it. Will do. Orochimaru said before taking out a sutra and placing it on the man's back and casting a set of 20 rapid hand signs. Edo Tensei Soul Exchange. Around the old man something that looked like a coffin formed. On the lid was the kanji for death, but it started to glow. Sarutobi felt a chill go down his spine. Whatever he's doing, I don't think I want him to succeed. With the others still occupied fighting his giant stone gorilla, Sarutobi rushed towards his pale student. He was blocked by the Kazekage. Now, I can't have you interfere and make one of my men's sacrifice meaningless, can I? You want him, you're going to have to get through me first. Hokage versus Kazekage. Place your bets. Orochimaru joked. One Hyuga was aiming right for Hinata's heart. Before he could make a hit, a small orange blur appeared and bit onto his arm, causing him to retract his arm before any hit could be made. Sango. Perfect timing, as usual. Naruto said, happy to see his snake friend. She couldn't respond as her mouth was full at the moment. One of the other Hyugas tried to attack the snake and Naruto came to aid her. Go start beckon from the grave jutsu. He said after performing 5 hand signs, then slamming his palms on the ground. The ground under them turned dark like upturned soil, and from out of it emerged multiple ghostly arms. These arms grabbed onto all the Hyugas rather tightly, then started to pull them down. The Hyuga watched in horror as their feet started sinking into the darkened ground. Niji reacted by hitting the arms with the Juken, which destroyed the arms but only briefly. A destroyed one always reformed and grabbed another available spot. What the hell is going on? Hizashi asked when his ankles sank completely into the ground. Sango let go of her victim and slithered over to Naruto, perching on his left shoulder. Are these the ones you warned me we might have to face someday? The very same. Got any ideas? Sango asked. Naruto shook his head. Not many. But since when do I need one to fight? Jiraiya ran up and surprised one Hyuga with a kick to his head. The only reason the Hyuga didn't defend himself was because he assumed the Toad Sannin was on his side here. Jiraiya-sama? What are you doing? A different Hyuga asked. My duty here, taking down Konoha. You betrayed us? Hizashi asked. Chronologically speaking, Konoha betrayed me first, but I owe you no explanations. He then created a Rasengan and thrust it into an attacking Niji's stomach. It wouldn't kill him, but it would certainly leave a mark for quite a while. Not to mention the collision threw Niji a few meters back and made him hit the railing of the arena banisters headfirst before he fell over it and down into the arena itself. "Oh, I don't care what clan you're from, that's gotta hurt," Naruto commented. Isaribi smiled and nodded. Jiraiya jumped and landed beside Naruto. "No time for joking, Naruto. We need you now. It's time for our ploy to destroy Konoha's spirit." Naruto nodded. "Got it, Arojazan. Be safe without me, girls." "We will," Hinata and Isaribi said to their man before he and his snake friend disappeared with Jiraiya leaving only a log in their place. "And how exactly do you two girls plan to get out of here alive?" a Hyuga asked. Hinata and Isaribi got into their stances and activated the first stage of their curse marks. Hinata was covered in several lines made of connecting tear-shaped marks and Isaribi's marks looked more like a river current. "See for yourself," Hinata said. "Damn Kurenai, don't you die on me. What am I going to tell your boyfriend if you do? Who's going to be my buddy with you gone?" Anko said, trying to avoid crying as she treated her ailing friend. "I'm sorry, Anko, I guess I was being selfish," Kurenai stated weakly yet sarcastically. Anko looked around and saw she now was surrounded. Around her and her friend were 4 genin, Shikamaru, Ino, Chuji, and Tenten, while the adult ninja were busy dealing with the snakes Anko summoned including Kogayaku. "You kids got a death wish? It's 4 against 1 here," Ino said, not counting Kurenai since she was out. "Then go grab 4 more and it will be a fair fight," Anko replied, not sounding like she was joking. Tenten threw 8 kunai at Anko all at once. Using one of her own, Anko deflected and blocked 6 of them. The 2 she missed hit her snakeskin armor resulting in no damage at all. Out of the corner of her eye she saw Shikamaru ready his shadow and Ino ready her mind transfer while she was distracted. Smiling, Anko activated her curse mark, gaining snake-shaped streaks all over her skin. "Attack me, I dare you." Shikamaru hesitated, unnerved by this strange display, though he did remain ready to retaliate if he needed to. Tenten acted similarly by not throwing more weapons but keep some at hand ready at a moment's notice. Ino on the other hand, mind transfer. Jutsu. Anko smiled and allowed the attack to hit her, immediately making Shikamaru wary. But as soon as Ino was in there, screaming was heard and it looked like Anko was grabbing her own head. "Ack! It hurts! It hurts!" All of a sudden Anko stopped and Ino's body returned to consciousness. Chuji was immediately at her side. "What happened?" "Her chakra. It's unnatural. Evil." The Yamanaka heiress Ade herself say. "You're a monster," she then told Anko. The snake summoner smirked. "Oh, you want to see a real monster? How about this?" Now she was activating her second stage. Kakashi thrust a kunai into the neck of an Oto shinobi killing him. "There, it looks like things have calmed down a bit. I better go check up on my students. Hey guy, I'm done here. Think you can dash?" He stopped when he saw the green-clad Jounin wasn't there anymore. "Where did he go?" "Oh well, I better get going too." He headed towards outside the arena, but stopped when an approaching shadow formed around him. He jumped to his right, narrowly avoiding what looked like a large white drill that would have otherwise skewered him like a spear. 2 ninja wearing Oto symbols then landed at his left and right. The one on his right was the imposter Otokage, dressed in a black outfit with a green vest and sporting a faceplate eerily similar to what Tobirama wore but with Oto's symbol rather than Konoha's. The one to his left had pale skin and white hair, and wore loose purple pants and a loose open white shirt, sporting an Oto Hitai 8 on his forehead. "Kakashi Hitaki, we've heard about you. You will find this to be a rather difficult fight," the white-haired one stated calmly. "Well, It's not fair that you two know me but I don't know you. Kakashi calmly said, almost sounding bored. Yet he was still on his guard, he only wanted to sound foolish to lower their likelihood of taking him serious right away. We're ninja. We don't do things fair. But if you must know, I am Yamato Tenzu. And I am Kimimaro Kagaya. Kagaya? That name feels familiar. Where have I heard it before? Kakashi asked himself. If you wish to avoid an unnecessary fight, answer one question. Where is Danzu Shimura? He's the one we're ordered to find. Kimimaro asked. Kakashi shrugged. I can honestly say I haven't a clue, but I do know that I shouldn't allow you the chance to find out. So be it. Kimimaro held out his hand, all his fingers pointed at Kakashi. Digital shrapnel. Holes appeared at the end of his fingers and small white projectiles shot out rapidly. Without his Sharingan, Kakashi's reflexes no longer were what he made them to be. He could no longer see each individual projectile and know when and how to avoid them. He spent most of the past month training himself to be coordinated without an active Sharingan again. This is why he was able to avoid a lethal hit even though two of Kimimaro's attacks hit him. Did he just shoot his finger bones out of his hand? Kakashi asked himself. That's it. The Kagaya were that bone-wielding clan from Kiri, rumored to be the one who started the anti-bloodline behavior in Kiri. What's one of them doing here? Dance of the Camellia. Kimimaro then sprouted a bone spike from his upper arm that he pulled right out of his body then held in his hand. This bone looked just like a hiltless sword. Would style 4-pillar prison jutsu. Yamato said behind Kakashi, catching the former Umbu's attention. Wood style? That's impossible. Yet the sight of a wooden cage forming around him proved otherwise. What the hell kind of village do you people come from? The sound work best in silence. Kimimaro told him. That kunoichi I faced in Wave said the same thing. Say what you want about this people, they understand the importance of deception. Kakashi thought while he was also trying to think up a way out of this. Kimimaro approached him swiftly hoping to impale this in a painful spot. Kakashi had little room to dodge, but Kimimaro did not expect him to just stand there and take it. Nope, the Konoha nin would try and defend himself, and Kimimaro wanted to see how. It would be alright as long as Yamato was there to provide backup. Fire-style Grand Fireball Jutsu. Kakashi said before creating a gigantic fireball that both burned his wooden prison and moved toward his enemy. Exoskeletal armor. The white-haired Oto nin suddenly grew bone plates all over him, deflecting the fire attack and leaving him unharmed. Wood-style chakra binding roots. Yamato said in an effort to keep Kakashi unable to do much more. Large tree roots burst out of the ground surrounding the former Cyclops. Raikiri. Kakashi declared, creating his electric attack. Using it he slashed the approaching wooden limbs, keeping them off him completely. He had to stop when he felt something hit the back of his right shoulder. He turned and saw it was Kimimaro's bone sword. Damn, I fight one and leave myself open to the other. I need to take them both down at once. But how? Inoichi was inside Gaara's mind. What he expected to see was an empty white void where he could either take control of the boy or search for memories. What he saw was a vast desert with a gigantic pyramid in the center of it. On the side of the pyramid was the kanji 4-1 and a closed door. But it wasn't a stone door like one would expect on a pyramid, but rather it was a barred door better suited for a prison cell. Bad move coming here, Konoha ninja. Gaara's voice said from behind the Yamanaka head, who turned around to face the young sand wielder. How can he be here? In all my experience I've never seen the consciousness of my target actually appear before me when I was in their mind. Inoichi immediately got ready to fight. This may be your mind, but that just makes you all the more vulnerable to my methods. But can you handle two opponents? Gaara said, pointing to the pyramid. Inoichi looked back and saw something that made him sweat in panic. Behind the barred door he could see a giant eye, a yellow one with a cross-shaped black slit pupil and 4 black dots between the 4 points of the slits. And if that wasn't bad enough, he could practically taste the killing intent coming out of the pyramid. What the hell is that? Say hello to my little friend. Gaara joked. Inoichi felt the sand underneath his feet start to move, pulling him towards the pyramid door. Oh hell no. He jumped away, getting away from the sand pull. Sand shuriken. Gaara said, throwing 3 sand discs at Inoichi. The first one struck but he avoided the other 2. I've heard of your type of ninja Konoha-san. You place yourself in the mind of your target to gather information or use their body. But it works best when the target is unaware or weak-willed. Too bad for you I was neither when you attacked. And to make matters worse, my consciousness isn't the only one here, so taking me over is practically impossible for you. Gaara threw some more sand weapons at Inoichi, who worked at dodging. While he dodged, he had to keep moving away from the pyramid the sand current was pulling him towards. Damn it, I'm in a tough spot here. If I focus on the kid I'm vulnerable to the thing in the pyramid. But whenever I get away from it that gives the kid a better chance to hit me. What do? I can either get out of here or... Getting an idea, Inoichi ran towards the pyramid and jumped, landing on the side of the stone building. There. I'm away from the sand and the kid so I can prepare a proper jutsu. Gaara smiled. You really think you're safe there? Take a better look. Inoichi saw that several of the bricks on the pyramid walls were actually replaced with small barred opening, resembling gutter vents. From out of them brewed tendrils of sand that quickly looked like clawed hands, each having blue markings running along them and black tips at the end of each claw. What the heck is in here? Inoichi almost screamed, trying to fend off the multiple appendages. Shikaku the Sand Spirit, aka the Ichibi no Tanuki. Gaara calmly answered with a victorious smile. This kid's a Jinchuriki? This is out of my league. Inoichi thought before ending his jutsu and leaving the mindscape. There. That should stabilize you for the time being. Kabuto told his ailing student. I don't have time for more, so we need to get you out of here for now. Thanks sensei. Zaku said, feeling better but still woozy. Sensei. Kin called. I don't think doing that is going to be easy right now. Kabuto looked at his student and saw Guy standing before Kin and Dosu. I'd hate to have to crush such youthful spirits and growing potential, but I do have a job to do. Pity it had to come to this. Kabuto stepped forward. Guys, let me handle this one. You two get Zaku out of harm's way. Got it sensei. Kin said before she and Dosu went to assist their downed teammate. Kabuto eyed Guy, who made no move to intervene. Not going to bother them? I completely understand your desire to protect your students. Besides, I don't exactly like fighting kids if I can avoid it. I hope you have no qualms about fighting me. The bespectacled medic said as he created a chakra scalpel on each hand then charged in. Guy dodged so quickly even Kabuto couldn't see him move. Indeed. He then landed a kick on him from behind, a kick strong enough to send Kabuto flying off the rooftop and over the neighboring building before landing on the ground. Damn, that hurt. I think he cracked a vertebrae at least and maybe even bruised an organ. Before Kabuto could get back up, Guy reappeared in front of him. Are you finished already? Guy asked. Kabuto swiftly got back on his feet, though his back hurt when he landed. Not even close. How are you even able to stand up? Usually when I land a hit of that caliber without any training weights on in a location such as that my target can barely even breathe. Guy said. As soon as the invasion became apparent he had removed his own weights, allowing him to move at his max. I'm a good healer. Kabuto replied. Ever since that sick experiment I was forced to be in before I left this village with Orochimaru-sama, I've had healing abilities on par with a Jinchuriki. My only concern is if this guy can damage me better or faster than I can recover. Guy popped his knuckles. Good. Then let us continue. But before he could make a move, a large amount of senbon hit him from behind and to his right, striking him in many points on his back. Within seconds he fell face first and made no further moves. Kabuto was honestly surprised. What the dash? The next thing he knew was a repeated attack at him that hit him too. After that, he fell on his back and saw only black. What the hell is that? Fu smirked. Your worst nightmare. Times 7. Her chakra took on no shape, but the dangerous intent behind it was sensible to everyone there. The Hyuga Umbu was the first to make a move towards her. Fu smirked and performed 2 hand seals. Ninja art, hidden in scale powder jutsu. She then exhaled a large cloud of fine powder that quickly expanded, keeping all the Umbu's attention on her. Haku and Sasami covered their eyes right away, though Haku then make a few one-handed hand signs. In the bright daylight with little shade in the alley, the sunlight bounced off the fine powder and reflect enough light to rival the sun. Each Anub blocked their eyes as best they could, but the Hyuga was the worst off. The bright blinding light was coming from all directions, so with his Byakugan on he was the most affected by this. My eyes. Even after deactivating his Dojutsu he had the worst headache he had ever had in his life. Haku couldn't see what was going on, but she grinned triumphantly. Looks like those ice mirrors I made to reflect and enhance the light worked perfectly. Feeling the cat mask Umbu holding her captive loosen her grip, the ice wielder slipped away silently. She was as blind as the others were, but at least now she didn't have a sword against her neck. Fu fortunately was the only one unaffected by the jutsu, and moved to gather her teammates. But first she had to get these annoying Umbu out of the way. She ran right up to the Hyuga Umbu. Earth-style headhunter jutsu. She touched him and instantly his body sunk in the ground up to his neck, leaving him easy prey for a decapitation move. Then she approached the pig-masked Umbu who was standing close to Sasami, who was still downed. Ninja art, glitter razor torture jutsu. She exhaled another burst of glowing powder that covered this man from head to toe. The pig Umbu soon screamed and tore at his body. What the hell is this? Fu smiled seeing this man suffering. She was taught the powder techniques by Shibuki as a gesture of trust to her, even when she chose to make Oto her permanent home rather than Taki. For the most part, they were distracting or irritating techniques that incapacitated an enemy while the support handled them directly. This move, the glitter razor torture, was one of the few methods where actual damage was done to the victim. The powder embedded itself in the victim's skin and clothes, striking nerve points, making the body feel like small razors were cutting into it, everyone all at once. The cat Umbu was now the only one they're able to fight, even though it was still too bright for her to see. I can't fight effectively here. I better get out of here. Maybe Hayate-kun can help me out. She immediately shoe-shined out of the area and took off her max, trying to regain her vision. An Umbu on the move landed beside her. You alright, Yugao-san? Yugao rubbed her eyes. I will be. Watch out for a kunoichi with green hair. There's something sinister about her. Many Hyuga came in, but Hinata created chakra blades that emerged from her palms. 5 trigrams protective blade dance. Swinging her arms around, she kept any Hyuga from getting too close to her. Those that did got cut for it. Hizashi had to admit he was impressed with this maneuver. It reminds me of the rotation, but here she sacrifices the overall effectiveness of the defense to create an offense/defense combo. Impressive, but unless you're flexible enough to react quickly you leave yourself open too much. While Hinata was handling that, Isaribi took out one of her storage scrolls. Oh no, you don't. A female Hyuga elder shouted, throwing a kunai at the swimming enthusiast. She blocked with one of her trench knives and opened the scroll before biting her thumb and smearing blood on a seal. Water's not going to do you any good here. There's no place for you to contain it. A Hyuga with a mustache told her. He was right, the surrounding area had too many places for any water to drain out in. Who said I was using water? Isaribi asked. A closer look showed this seal did not have the kanji for water, but rather the one for person. A large cloud formed around the scroll, blinding even the Byakugan momentarily. When it cleared, all the Hyuga stopped what they were doing, too surprised to do anything else. It can't be. It is. How is this possible? Standing in the dissipating smoke was Hitomi Hibiki, formerly Hitomi Hyuga, wife of the late Hayashi Hyuga. And she did not look happy. Hello everyone. Miss me? Hi. Hitomi? Hizashi asked. Hitomi looked at him but her expression did not change. Hizashi. Call off your men. You know what I can do if you don't. She looked at each of them, giving her darkest frown for the elders. She wasn't imagining things and she felt they were the most surprised to see her alive and well. How can this be? We were told you died due to difficulties in giving birth that were so great you had to be taken to Tsunade-sama, but she couldn't save you. Hizashi asked, genuinely surprised though not upset to see her. Rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Hitomi answered. Exaggerated? The story was downright falsified. An elder stated. Like I care what any of you think. You're the ones who tried to kill me. Hizashi jerked back in surprise. Kill you? Hitomi smirked. Why don't you ask the elders exactly why I had a difficult birth in the first dash? She stopped when one of the Hyuga 20 years older than herself threw a kunai at her, trying to silence her. Hinata used her chakra blade to cut the kunai and stop it. Don't you dare hurt my mother! She shouted, glaring at her former family. Then she started to activate the second stage of her mark. The Hyugas wanted in fear as the young girl before them started to sprout white and brown feathers and her hair became a bit spikier, though not quite like Naruto's. Her hands morphed to resemble yellow-scaled bird legs and feet shaped like human arms and hands but tipped with long black talons. Behind her grew bird wings covered almost entirely in brown feathers on the top side and white with brown horizontal stripes on the underside, and tail feather brown on both sides. Her lips hardened into what looked like a bird's beak, though it was still shaped like a human mouth, and her Byakugan became black. Right now, she looked like some combination of human being and falcon. My turn. Isaribi said before activating her own curse mark. Her skin became a soft green hue and scaled, though her underside and face became more of a pale yellow color with green stripes under her eyes. Her arms got thicker and sprouted small fins on the back of the forearms, her fingernails got sharper and could not be distinguished from her fingers. The same happened to her legs, but her toes were webbed unlike her fingers. Her hair blended with her skin causing her to become bald, yet her long bangs on the side of her face remained, just transformed into what looked like a vestigial set of arms. On top her head there emerged a fish's dorsal fin. And, basically her sea creature form is her second stage in this story. What the hell are you? A bald Hyuga asked. Pissed off Kunoichi. Hinata answered. Inoichi returned to his own body and saw his allies trying to fight the other Suna genin. Temari and Kankuro were keeping the Konoha ninja effectively at bay while only struggling to avoid Chuza's large arms. When his eyes returned towards Gaara, who was just standing there ignoring everything yet protected by his automatic sand defenses, Inoichi saw a smile on the red-haired boy that chilled him to the bone. Target the redhead first. He's the most dangerous one here. He shouted to his comrades. Not one to argue with his teammate, Shikaku started to get ready for a shadow binding for Gaara. The Suna nin saw it coming and let his sand cover the ground. Sand wave overflow. The sand rose to create a wall-like wave that if made out of water would have been perfect to surf on. This wave interfered with both Shikaku's and Chuza's methods, but didn't make them stop trying. Suddenly the wave rushed forward as if reaching out to crush them from above. Shikaku immediately backed away as quick as he could, and he wasn't the only one. Clever ploy. This attacks us and prevents my shadow from reaching anyone at the same time. I need to try from another vantage point. Chuza seemed to be the only one not bothered by the sand attack. Expansion Jutsu full body. The large ninja now became even larger, gigantic enough to step on a small building like it was a tin can. The sand wave did nothing to him, feeling mostly like a splash against his ankle. All the ninja stopped moving, even the Tsunade, awaiting his next reaction. Gaara grinned. You're not the only one who can get bigger. All of a sudden the sand around him came back to him and started to swiftly pile up. Temari and Kankuro got away as quick as they could. Chuza reached down trying to stop the growing sand pile, but it seemed to push back against him just as hard, and it was even taking shape. What's going on here? Where's he getting all this sand? Shikaku asked. He may be using the ground he's standing on, converting it into sand. Or maybe he had storage seals containing more. Inoichi suggested. Chuza tried even harder to keep this growing sand pile down, even pressing his whole body against it like a sumo wrestler would. Bad idea, for the mound grew arms and they grabbed him, digging their claws into him where his armor didn't cover. He struggled to pull back and saw the sand form a head on top. A head with raccoon eyes and ears, and a mouth full of jagged teeth. Behind the sand construct appeared to be a tail made from hundreds of smaller tanuki tails pressed together. From the forehead emerged the top half of Gaara's body. Shikaku, go ahead and have a little fun. Just remember, only target the Konoha shinobi. Gaara said. The bijou under him smiled. Thanks kid. This will be a blast. Shikamaru, Ino, Chuji, and Tenten watched in horror as Anko transformed in front of them. Ino even tried to perform a genjutsu release, but it didn't work. The mark spread all over Anko's skin until it was colored red and yellow in horizontal stripes, but then it became scaled like a reptile. Her purple hair became dark red and the ends started to look like yellow-tipped snake tails. Her eyes gained thin black rings around them and the pupils turned yellow with black slits. The ends of her fingers changed to look like snake heads with permanently closed mouths. Anko smiled, revealing serpentine fangs and a forked tongue. What the hell are you? Ino asked, scared to face such an opponent. Tenten threw a shuriken, but Anko ducked and held out her left arm. The limb stretched like rubber and grabbed her right calf. She was pulled towards the Odo Kunoichi and suddenly the arm wrapped around her and tightened. It's like she's trying to constrict me. Tenten thought, already struggling to breathe. Thinking quickly, Chuji started to prepare an attack. Expansi dash, he was cut off by a kunai to his neck held from behind. He turned and saw Kurenai, her first stage mark active, decorating her skin with chains of connected diamond shapes. What the hell? Aren't you supposed to be? He looked back at where he thought she was, only to see an empty spot. Genjutsu. I tricked you all into thinking I was still down and out, so I could sneak up on you all. Kurenai replied. Ino held out her hands. Mind. Destruction dash, she stopped when she felt a second Kurenai holding a kunai against her throat. How are you dash? This has got to be another genjutsu. Shikamaru said, now captured by a third Kurenai. Where's the real one? Seeing the others were held up for the moment, Anko held out her right arm and stretched it too, constricting Chuji. Then she lifted her right leg and it even stretched, allowing her to constrict Ino too. Once held tightly, the Kurenais by the genin faded away, leaving the real one holding Shimakaru. Looks like I'm the only one who has any chance of getting us out of this until reinforcements arrive. What a drag. Shikamaru thought. Sarutobi tried to hit the Kazekage with his adamantine staff, but Tsunade's leader blocked with a gold staff of his own. Both were pressing as hard as they could against the other, trying to make the other Kage slip up and reveal an opening. In the background, Sarutobi noticed that his giant stone gorilla had not hurt any of the others yet. It couldn't seem to move fast enough to hit any of them, but at least Tsunade wasn't able to shatter it in one punch. At the same time Orochimaru looked like he was waiting for something. Sarutobi, I demand an answer for why you tried what you did to my village. Kazekage told the old man. Sarutobi did not look intimidated. I did no harm to your village. Any harm that happened was your own fault. It was you and you know it. No, it was you and you know it. Sarutobi countered. All I did was suggest something. You're the one who chose to take it seriously. Did I order you to treat your Jinchuriki like something less than human? Did I order you to make his training hell until he snapped and would lash out at you and Suna until nothing was left but rubble? Did I? No, I didn't. I merely made a comment. Whatever happened, it was because you chose to take my threat seriously. You're just as mad at yourself as you are at me, you just won't admit it. Thinking quickly, the Kazekage tried a sweep kick to unbalance the old Hokage. Sarutobi saw it and jumped above it, but unfortunately this gave Kazekage the opportunity to attack again with his staff. The end hit Sarutobi's helmet and knocked it off, giving the old man a bit of a bruise on his left cheek. Maybe you're right. But what I really want to know was why did you give me that comment in the first place? What did you have to gain from telling me to treat my own like a monster? Did you want Suna to be destroyed? We were your allies and posed no threat to you. If anything, getting rid of us would only weaken you because you have no support if someone attacked you. Like now. Kushina was heard stated, using her chains to immobilize the gorilla golem. Sarutobi was surprised. They caught it? How? Kazekage smiled. What did you expect? We're in a finite area thanks to the barrier. Not to mention I placed a lot of my gold rust in the rubble you created it from, so now it's really slow and heavy. I'm kind of surprised it lasted as long as it has. This thing's got to have a weak spot. Tsunade said. She then ran up the stone body and got on its face. Might as well try here. She cocked her fist and thrust a punch right between the eyes of the stone gorilla. It shattered like it was made of dry clay. Kushina recalled her chains as Tswanda landed on her feet. Nice job, Tsunade-sama. You got it on the first try. Kazekage recalled all his now free gold dust. Now, answer my question, damn it. What were you trying to accomplish when you tried to turn me against my son? Me and the Wind Daimyo had an agreement. He got tired of funding your village but knew if he got involved it would only give him bad propaganda. And I couldn't invade you since my shinobi aren't used to desert terrain and my Jinchuriki at the time was too young to be useful. So I proposed that allowing your village to destroy itself was the best way to handle it. The Wind Daimyo cut off funding and missions little by little while you were supposed to drive your own weapon insane and against you. With Suna gone, Konoha receives more work, more pay, better status, and one less Jinchuriki that could be used against us. Kazekage glared, looking just like Gaara right then. You were hoping to destroy my entire village and every innocent in it, just to put a few more Ryo in your wallet? Ninja kill for pay. That's in the job description. Your daimyo decided he'd rather give my village mission when he needed work than pay to keep your village supplied and happy. As for me, would you turn down money from 2 daimyos? Sarutobi replied. I gotta agree with him there. Enma said, returning to his monkey form. In a business sense, every other village is just competition. Even the allies. And if your own daimyo deserted you, why should Hiruzen have pity for you? Kazekage stood there, changing his gold staff into a long sword. As a businessman and a politician in charge of an entire village, I cannot fault you for that. If it had been the other way around, I'd likely have done the same. However, as a father, I will make you pay. Wait just a moment, Kazekage-sama. Orochimaru calmly said, making the two Kages turn towards him. Next to the snake Sannin was Jiraiya and Naruto, who had used the substitution technique to get in and out of the barrier thanks to specially made seals. Both wore for this exact purpose and moment. Ready, you two? Ready. They both said. Oh Naruto, remove your disguise. It will make things go smoother later. Orochimaru added. Gotcha, Jizan. Using his chakra, Naruto forced the hair dye and makeup off him, revealing his blonde hair and whisker marks. It may have been 10 years, but Sarutobi immediately knew who he was. The name, the whiskers, the hair, the fact he was with Orochimaru. Naruto's been alive all this time? Now Orochimaru. Jiraiya told his pale teammate. Orochimaru nodded and performed a large number of hand signs while Naruto formed the tiger sign. Edo Tensei totality. The lid on the coffin burst open, causing a large amount of gray smoke to rush out and make everyone cough a bit. Naruto now. Orochimaru told the young blonde. Naruto came up to the coffin, flared his chakra, and made direct contact with whatever was inside it. There was a glow of white chakra that soon turned blue and got brighter. Almost too bright to look at. Then it stopped, and Naruto stepped aside with a smile. Sarutobi saw a silhouette of a person come out. Is this Tobirama-sensei's jutsu he was experimenting on? Did Orochimaru somehow make it work? You can't do this. There's a reason the Nidaime declared it forbidden. I'm not the Nidaime, am I, sensei? Orochimaru asked. The smoke cleared, and standing there was probably the last person Sarutobi expected to see. A tall young man with blonde hair that framed his face, wearing an open off-white cloak that had red-orange flames on the bottom, over a jounin vest, black cloth arm covers, blue pants, and black shoes. There was no mistaking this person. Me. Minato? The revived Yondaime Hokage blinked. Huh? Where am I? How did I dash? Minato-kun. Kushina happily said, rushing up to her husband. I'm so glad you're back. She hugged him, but he didn't react. Say something, dear. How did you get so old? He innocently asked. Idiot. She yelled before hitting him on top of his head. I'm not old. And it's not my fault you haven't aged a day while I've aged 13 years. 13 years? Minato asked. Jiraiya came up to his student. Minato, I'm not sure how to tell you this, but you've been dead for 13 years while your wife was in a coma. Wow, you're really gotten old, Ero-sensei. Minato joked, this time making his wife laugh. If you can crack jokes, perhaps you can help us fight. Jiraiya said before pointing to Sarutobi, who was still flabbergasted by all this. Remember your wish for Naruto to be seen as a hero? Well, he's responsible for ensuring that Konoha saw Naruto as quite possibly the furthest thing from hero as you can get. What? Minato asked. What are you talking about? Something tells me we're not getting out of this alive, Hiruzen. Enma told his partner. Kushina grabbed her husband's hand tenderly. Minato, I'm afraid we don't have time to explain everything, so to summarize, Konoha disregarded your last wish and it's all thanks to Sarutobi. The Sandaime Hokage was quite nervous now but avoided showing it. Only one thing was keeping him from surrendering. Here I've been fighting 3 Sannin, a Kage, and Kushina. All this time they could have attacked together and finished me off at any moment, and yet they haven't. All they've been doing is wearing me out. Were they waiting for this? Why? Why make Minato finish me off instead if they're the ones out for my blood? This can only mean, they brought back Minato for a different reason. I better get rid of him first. If Konoha saw the Yondaime resurrected yet fighting for the enemy, it would demoralize us for years to come. Wait, is that why they brought him back? Minato looked at the older man. Sarutobi, what does that mean? His tone was uncertain, yet close to being threatening. They're lying to you, Minato. They're turned traitor and are just making up gibberish to get you to betray the village you love so much. Kushina shook her head as if disappointed by hearing this. Minato, you trust me, right? Of course, Kushina. Then trust me when I say this man here deserves to die. In our absence he's turned Konoha into a cesspool and made our sacrifice meaningless. Our son isn't even able to live here anymore. If there's anyone I want dead more than Madara Uchiha, it's Sarutobi. Needless to say, Minato was surprised to hear his wife say this. You want me to help you kill Sarutobi? How do I know this isn't some kind of trick and you're some kind of enemy in disguise? I first said I loved you after you rescued me from Kumo and complimented my hair. I first kissed you when you made Chunin and kicked the ass of that Iwa Nin who had been hitting on me. And I first told you about the Kyuubi the day you accidentally got to second base. Kushina told him. Mom. I'm right here, you know. Naruto said, bothered to hear that about his parents. Sorry, Naruto. Kushina said with mirth, showing she enjoyed embarrassing her son a little. Naruto? Minato asked, looking at his no longer infant son who had a snake on his shoulders. How old are you now? 13, Dad. But we need to save the catching up for later. Right now we're in a fight and we need your help. Seeing the two transformed girls unsettled the Hyugas, and they were even more unsettled when their Byakugans told them this was no mere illusion. They had truly changed shape. Hitmi almost laughed at the gaping faces of her former clan. Surprised? Say hello to our village's secret weapon. Your village has shapeshifters. Impossible. And yet you see two right before your all-seeing eyes. Hitomi added. Hinata then jumped into the air, her wings flapping keeping her up. And this isn't just for show either. With her lips hardened like a beak, she kept making clicking sounds when she spoke. Hizashi looked worried, but he soon confidently smiled. Nice intimidation ploy, but I see a huge flaw in it. The bird girl cannot attack and keep her distance at the same time, or else she would have done it by now. The fact that I'm still standing here talking proves that. And the fish girl looks like she won't last long outside water. So Hitomi, you're the only real threat here and you're too outnumbered to significantly harm us first. The way I see it, you've lost. And that's exactly what we wanted you to see. Hitomi stated. Before anyone could speak, a bunch of pipes burst in the area, spraying water all over the place. Isaribi used her chakra to hold it all in place and form a gigantic water prison containing them all while Hinata hovered outside the aqua dome. Did they set up some bombs on the pipes timed or triggered for this moment just for this purpose? Hizashi asked himself, holding his breath and struggling in the water. Isaribi and Hitomi looked at each other with light grins. Hitomi nodded, then suddenly disappeared in a puff of smoke, sending a small wave through the water with her removal. Where did she go? 1FO the Hyugas asked before realizing talking underwater wasn't a good idea. Isaribi heard the question clearly but didn't respond. Instead she moved through the water like a fish. Or to be more precise, like a shark, given the fact she had her mouth open ready to bite. The Hyuga got ready to hit her tenketsu, since the Jukin could still work underwater albeit much slower. He hit her shoulders but she hit him too, biting his left forearm hard enough to snap the bone and draw blood. Another Hyuga saw this and panicked. I'm outta here. He tried swimming out of the water prison. The water prison technique usually worked two ways. Either it was small yet pressured enough that the captive could barely move, or large and unpressured so the captive could move yet something else, usually something dangerous, could be in the water with them. This one used here was the second type, so the Hyugas could swim out if they could reach the edge. Isaribi ignored him, so he reached the barrier and took a breath. His vision was blurred thanks to some water in his eyes and his Byakugan wasn't active, but he could sense a sudden shadow appear. Before he could really see the light blocker, he felt a slash across his eyes. Aff! Screaming in utter agony, his hand covered his wound, and he tried to activate his Byakugan, only to discover he couldn't. He was blind, and bleeding heavily. Hizashi saw what happened with his Byakugan. Clever. The fish girl attacks us within the water, but if we leave the bird girl attacks us from there and can even rip our eyes out with her claws. Blind or drowned, what a choice. What do I do? Shikamaru asked himself. I could easily capture the snake lady with my shadow given her limbs are all over the place, but that will leave me open to the one behind me. And if I target her instead, I'm still vulnerable to the snake lady who may have a sneak attack up her sleeve. Sad fact is, that's actually my best chance here given she likely needs that leg to keep standing. I better go with the second option. If it's not too much trouble, could you tell me exactly why your village is trying to destroy ours? Shikamaru asked. What did we ever do to you? Who said we came here to destroy? Kurenai asked above a whisper. What? The Nara-heir asked, not expecting that answer. I don't recall anyone ever saying we wanted to wipe Konoha off the map. Then why are you doing this? Shikamaru repeated, a little anger in his voice. Me personally? Because my Kage says your village needs a gigantic kick in the ass and I agree. As for him personally, that's not for me to say. Kurenai then pulled back and stepped away. Oh, and in case you can't comprehend this, I'm well aware you've got me in your shadow. To get out, all I have to do is one thing. Would you like to see it? A chakra-infused trench kunai flew past the Oto Kunoichi, cutting off some of her hair. Get the hell away from my student. Asuma yelled. Kurenai smirked, only able to look at Asuma because Shikamaru turned his head that way too. Tell him to release me and I'd be glad to. As long as he has me snared like this, I'm afraid I'm incapable of granting your request. Asuma-sensei, worry about the others too. They could be close to death by now. Shikamaru shouted. He was right. Ino, Chuji, and Tenten were running out of air and their vision was starting to go black. Tenten used her free arm to try stabbing Anko's limb with a kunai but the snake summoner wouldn't let go. Ino was trying to use her clan's mind tricks again but she couldn't properly aim and there was no way she was going to repeat trying to get inside her head. Pulling out his trench knives, Asuma faced Anko while keeping Kurenai in his sight. Shikamaru, keep that one busy while I fight this one. No problem. Shikamaru replied. Yes problem. Kurenai joked as she activated her second stage. Chuza and Shikaku were at it like two gigantic sumo wrestlers. At their feet the smaller forces were fighting too, though they couldn't help looking at the giants on occasion. Damn, this thing's like fighting a monster. Chuza told himself as he strained to hold back the sand construct. It was harder for him because Shikaku's body was denser and had the advantage of having claws to grip with. Even with his chakra-reinforced muscles those claws hurt. Acting on impulse Chuza cocked his head back then slammed his head into Shikaku's. The giant tanuki was dazed and his grip loosened, while Gaara was moved to a safer location to avoid being caught in the crossfire. In that brief moment Chuza broke away and took a step back. He cocked his fist and fired a hard solid punch right to the Biju's jaw, hoping it would further slow down the giant demon. But to the Akimichi leader's shock, Shikaku caught his fist with his mouth. Let go of my hand. Chuza demanded, trying to get free but the tanuki wasn't listening. Then he bit down, severing his right hand from his arm. Ehaheh. Chuza screamed, pulling back with his left hand trying to apply pressure to stop the bleeding. The pain of the injury affected his jutsu and forced him to return to normal size again. Chuza! Inoichi shouted as he approached his wounded friend and pulled out some medical wrap. Here, let me help stop the bleeding. Don't forget the enemy Inoichi. Chuza said, then saw his now normal size removed hand fall to the ground in front of him. I sure hope this can be reattached. Got a sealing scroll? I'm on it. The Yamanaka leader said as he went to get the hand. Shikaku's footstep stopped him, since the bijou stepped right on the severed hand without even realizing it. Apparently he's on it instead. Then its tail hit the ground hard, sending a shockwave throughout the area, knocking many people off their feet or out of the trees. The shockwave broke Shikaku's concentration when he was about to trap Kenkuro in his shadow, so the puppet user remained free and his karasu shot out a few poison senbon. They struck some umbu who wouldn't feel the effect right away but would be no threat when they did. Temari was beating back a few more umbu with her fan, now being assisted by Baki in the process. What took you so long, sensei? I was busy taking care of the umbu in other places. But once I saw the Shikaku, I figured that was my signal to make sure you three were still breathing. Reinforcements shouldn't be far behind me. Temari looked behind her and saw a wave of Suna umbu coming to their aid. She was slightly disappointed that Naruto wasn't with them. Ruto-kun, stay safe for me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained, stay safe.